Good morning, and thank you so much for being here. Big shout out and thank you to my colleagues from the Senate and the House for being here this early in the morning. An 8:30 press conference, this is an impressive turnout. And I think that the fact that we're all here today as Republicans and Democrats to launch the Competitiveness Caucus is certainly not lost on me. And we just watched the beloved Philadelphia Eagles win in convincing fashion to get to the 2025 NFL Super Bowl this past Sunday. As you can see, there are a lot of fans here, and as fans, we get excited. We become part of the team, and when our team wins, just like the Eagles, we celebrate. And sometimes we may get a little too rowdy, as evidenced by those greased poles in downtown Philadelphia the other night. But when our team loses, and I'm very sorry for our Steeler fans who are here, we take it really personally, and we start looking at ways to rebuild the roster and rebuild the team. So your team has one goal, and that's to win the Lombardi Trophy. And this caucus is embracing that concept. So as a state, we are in a competition for jobs, in a competition for families, in a competition for prosperity against every other state in this nation. And the voters of this Commonwealth, they just set our team's roster this past November for the next 2 years. And we have our work cut out for us. So, CNBC ranks Pennsylvania 41st for business friendliness. That's not just a ranking, it's a sign that there is something that is deeply wrong. And behind every number, there are real stories of Pennsylvanians impacted by those challenges. One of those stories belongs to a former constituent of mine. He owns a very successful hospitality business. He builds and manages hotels all up and down the East Coast. He built his career in York County. He raised his family in York County, and he wanted to keep growing his business in York County, Pennsylvania. But he told me something that I'll never forget. And he said, I can pick a site, I can get the permits, I can build an entire hotel in West Virginia faster than I can get the permits just to start construction in Pennsylvania. He can open a hotel from start to finish in less time than it takes for him to simply be able to put a shovel in the ground here in Pennsylvania. And that hit me hard. But it didn't stop there. After hearing that story, I started hearing the same from manufacturers and small businesses that wanted to expand and create jobs and grow their operations and opportunities right here. But time and again, I heard the same thing. We can do it faster and more efficiently in other states. These stories are the human side of the number. So when U-Haul ranks Pennsylvania 46th for growth, or when Forbes puts us at 40th for growth prospects, those aren't just statistics. They represent businesses leaving, families uprooting, and opportunities slipping away. Our next generation is finding their greatest success elsewhere. So when the Eagles lost the Super Bowl a few years ago, they came up with a game plan. They assembled a roster, and they stuck to it for 2 years. There is not a one-size-fits-all solution to fix it. Like a football team having to improve on all three aspects of the game, we need to come up with an all-of-the-above approach at being the best state. For every one of these statistics, there's a human component, like my former constituent. And for every story, there are countless others we're never going to hear. And that's why this caucus exists, because we need to address those challenges head on. And we've already started with programs like the SPEED program that streamlines the permitting process and sends a clear message. Pennsylvania is open for business, but we can't stop here. If we want to turn those numbers around, we need bold bipartisan action to make our state more competitive and create an economy that works for everyone. This isn't about data. It's about people, it's about livelihoods, and it's about their futures. It's about keeping our communities strong and ensuring that the next generation has every reason to stay right here, to work here, and to raise their families here. And that's why we're here today. And that's why this matters so much. So we're going to get to work. And with that, I'm going to introduce my co-chairs one at a time, but I will leave you with this. Go Birds. So, next up, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Next up, we have a Democratic and Republican chair from each caucus, Senate and House, and our Senate Democratic chair, Senator Lisa Boscola, is not able to be with us this morning, but she has a great teammate to pinch hit for her, and that's Senator Nick Miller. Nick.
Thank you, Senator Phillips-Hill. Well, you took a lot of my talking points on the Eagles, so my brief remarks will be even more succinct. Well, first of all, good morning, and thank you for being here. I have the distinct honor of stepping in for Senator Boscola, and the most important thing when you mention the Eagles is that they're playing as a team. And us here in the Capitol building and across the Commonwealth have to continue to work towards the middle and be a team moving forward. And that's including our stakeholders, including our partners. We have got a very competitive governor to compete against other parts of our country and across the globe, really. So embracing a forward-thinking strategy, this session is something that combines innovation, infrastructure, economic growth, while building up our workforce and strengthening education. Our excellent public schools, as we continue to make historic investment in some of our poorest school districts, including facilities and students, our community colleges and VOTEC tech schools, those are all important components as we balance investment in our business environment, which continues to improve with the corporate net income tax continuing to decrease, but balancing investment in our communities, whether it's on our main streets and our small businesses or our education system as a whole. So I want to be very brief today, just very excited about working together across the aisle, bicameral, bipartisan, in this endeavor to continue to deliver for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So with that, I will turn it over back to Senator Phillips-Hill. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Senator Miller. We are also exceedingly happy to be joined by Luke Bernstein from the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry. They, too, are looking forward to making Pennsylvania more competitive. And with that, it is my pleasure to introduce our House Republican Chair, Representative Josh Kail.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate it. I would like to remind everybody that the Steelers do have 6 Super Bowls. It may not be getting our 7th this year, but we still have 6 Super Bowls, and regardless of what happens in 2 weeks, the Eagles will not have 6 Super Bowls. But we got to root for Pennsylvania when the Steelers aren't in it, so go Birds. I mean, they're playing the Chiefs. Come on, yeah. There are 2 facts that are true about the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. The first is that we are a Commonwealth with incredible potential. We have amazing natural resources across the entire Commonwealth. We have access to markets, access to the best market in the world, northeastern part of the United States. We have ability to get goods to markets. We have a resilient workforce, access to capital. Yet there is a second fact that is also true. We are losing And these numbers right here behind Mr. Bernstein show us that we are losing. Number 41 in business friendliness, number 40 in growth prospects, number 41 in state economy. With all of the resources, with all of the assets that we have, this should not be the case. This caucus is going to set out to find and remove the obstacles, the opportunities for the constituents of our Commonwealth. And not just in Harrisburg, but across the entire Commonwealth, talking to stakeholders that suffer the consequences of our actions. You know, I think sometimes in Harrisburg we get caught up a little too much in numbers, so I'm going to give you some other numbers that might make it a little more personal. At least for me it makes it personal. I grew up in Western Pennsylvania. I'm the fifth of 7 children, and I saw my siblings spread across the country after they graduated from college, not because they wanted to leave Pennsylvania, but because there was no opportunity in Pennsylvania. And here we are about 20 years later, and I have 8 children of my own. And I came to Harrisburg so that my kids and their generation could pursue opportunities in Pennsylvania. That's something that we all can get behind. Republicans, Democrats, Eagles fans, Steelers fans. Even the Senate can work with the House to make sure that we get that back. Labor and industry. Robert Baer with the Pennsylvania Building Trades is here as well. I'm looking forward to getting together with all of these different stakeholders, with all of these different members on both sides of the aisle, and finding solutions to remove these obstacles so that we can move our Commonwealth forward for the sake of our children and their generation. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Representative. And to batting cleanup for us today, no pressure, it is my pleasure to introduce our Democratic Chair, Representative Paul Friel.
Thank you, guys. And I appreciate everyone coming here. And so, not to repeat what's been said, I do like the football analogy, and I'll start with Go Birds. But I think there's a neat analogy here is, if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles last year, right, we had all the players, we had all the stuff, and our defense, I think, was ranked last. But we had all the pieces. And then what changed this year is, you know, a couple of coaches changed, a little coordination change, and now we're the #1 defense in the nation. We're about to go win the Super Bowl. So, you know, that, and what that has to do with this is this. We have the businesses here. We have the infrastructure here. We have the resources here. We have the entrepreneurs here. We have the universities here. We have everything we need to be successful and to launch this economy and to go from those numbers that you saw there to the top. And I will argue that we as legislators are a little like the coordinators, the defensive coordinator, offensive coordinator, kind of building the roadmap to allow our entrepreneurs to be successful, to unlock the potential of the resources of Pennsylvania. And so just like the Eagles are going to kick some butt, I think Pennsylvania can do the same thing. If we all work together to understand how to unlock it and allow our farmers, you know, our manufacturing sector, our industries to succeed, and most importantly, our families and our people that work here and live here to be successful. And that takes us partly getting out of the way and partly putting up the proper guardrails to make sure that we have economy that flourishes and it makes not just our businesses successful and prosper, but our families and our students prosper for generations to come. And that is why we've formed this bipartisan, bicameral group. Because not one piece of legislation, as we know, passes this House without Democrats and Republicans, without the Senate, without the House, and without our governor all being aligned. And we need to understand how to move these numbers. And that is the mission of this group, is to build that understanding, to build those guardrails, to build policies that enable us to be successful. So I'm really excited about the work we're about to embark on. I appreciate our partners here. both in labor, in industry, and our business representatives, our Senate, and our House partners to get to work together to really collaboratively build a better Pennsylvania. And I think we can go from these numbers to number 1, too. And again, go Birds. Thank you, sir.
Well, with that, I feel very excited. I feel very optimistic. And it's really easy when you're in this building to just go your own way, say no, and not get things done. But all of the people that you see standing here today have said we are going to join together. We're going to put our differences aside, and we're going to try to get to that common ground that's going to move Pennsylvania forward in a really positive way. It's really an exciting time here in Harrisburg. Thank you very much.